You are listening to another segment of the Think Tank, or perhaps better described as the Tank Think. Brock and Luke wax poetic, nay, blow hard about truth, love, and the world around you. And now your host, Brock Lawley.
Paul would go to these different places, and he would roll up his sleeves, and he would be in those places. He wouldn't spout off Christianese. He would speak to these people where they were, and that required work. That required intellectual work.
He wouldn't be politically correct either. He wouldn't say, well, Christianity's a budding religion, and we really don't want to lose people, and, you know, if these people leave, then we're not going to have as big a group of people. He would say, this is what you're supposed to do according to God. This is what you're supposed to do, and if you're not doing this, you're doing something wrong. We're going to lose attendance. We're going to lose funding. You know, there's so many things. You know, something which eventually we're going to have to talk about is this, if there's one thing that may be slightly more off limits as a Christian to talk about than homosexuality, it's divorce. You know, I feel like I have to wear like 3 or 4 pairs of oven mitts before I can even pick that up.
I agree. Well, you know, and that's the thing, though. Again, you know, the church has gotten to the point where sin isn't sin. There's all kinds of exceptions. But I'd love to kick that one around for you, man. I've had a bloody lip on that one more than one time in the company of Christians. Where they're,
I mean, I'm gonna have to really get into the word to get rather. Because I mean, getting older, what I realized is that I just accepted some truths that I heard rather than I learned.
Me too,
and
man.
So you carry it on for the rest of your life, and then someday, and you know, a Tuesday afternoon at 3:00, you're in a store, and this quote unquote truth pops in your head, and you're like, wait a second, how do I know this? I didn't read this. Somebody sometime told me this. Do I know this to be an absolute truth, or I know this to be in God's word? And most of the time, I'm going to have to say no. I mean, and that's the scary thing about a country who considers itself a Christian country, even still, is that what they learned about Christianity probably came from Flanders off The Simpsons. They don't know. You know, they don't really know what's true and what's not.
No, my pastor has such an interesting ministry. He says he's called to awaken this church that is biblically ignorant, that does not obey the word, not in every way, but that's a tougher gig in some ways than it is just to proselytize to the lost. We have these truths that we cling to, and they are buried deep. You know what I mean? And a lot of times they're not biblical. And that has to be our number one litmus test. That has to be our number one scale at which we weigh everything against. You'd be surprised how many Christians will go down with the ship of some bad theology and some bad worldview, and they're out there and they're living by that, and they're never picking up their word. I do that now with everything. Every pastor's sermon, everything, I immediately take it to the word.
Yeah. No,
we're just men. We're just men.
I listen to, you know, and you know what, I hate to say this too, but a book about the Bible is not good enough. That's great sometimes for guidance, and I love other people's perspectives. I think some of the people I admire most, who are people that,
me too,
who are people that have written about the Word, C.S. Lewis and a number of others. I remember reading one time, I love this devotional I got. I think the devotional is from the 40s that I found this book. And the imagery and the way this guy words things is so wonderful. So I get to this devotional, and it says that the man filled with demons who lived in the cemetery, Christ did not drive out actual demons. Christ was dealing with someone with a mental issue. It became really psychological, and I don't know if this was the sign of the times, but on all other aspects, I agree with this guy. But I had to examine this and be like, this guy is wrong and even dangerous in this aspect.
Yeah,
and so many things like that where another believer can be right 80% of the time, and just a little bit of mixture. I mean, look at all these cults that come out of these mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what it is,
I mean, think about it. Think about when we were kids and we were swimming. You can be the strongest swimmer, but if you're in the ocean and you don't have that point, you get drifted. That's just the way it is. You know, you can be the strongest of swimmers. That 6th point has to be the God's word. It has to be, and for everybody, it has to be, and that has to be the end. The be all and end all, and I can almost hear.
You can be somebody who is a believer and who is active in your faith, and you have a lot in common with a lot of other believers. And then you say something about, you know, homosexuality. You say something about divorce. You say something about one of these hot topic issues, and you can quickly become a pariah in your faith. And I can see why the temptation would be to just skip over that, or to not really acknowledge it and not deal with it. But the truth is, if these things are unacceptable to my God, they're not acceptable to me, and we're supposed to judge each other. That's what we're called to do this. Paul says it how many different times when people start selectively
Yeah, he's specifically talking about believers. That's the thing that the church messes up so often. She's specifically talking about believers.
We're supposed to have compassion and empathy for the world and understand that they don't see things through the lenses that we see things as believers, as Christians. They don't see these things the way we do. So we need to look at them with compassion. We need to come at them different, but with each other, we need to
edification.
This is
right.
Edification.
You are listening to the Atheist Antidote Show.